friends. This is about activism. We are so happy that you are sticking your foot in the door to make your first journey with us. You've probably been doing things in other ways in terms of talking with your friends and family about it, but we're here to help you give you voters' guides, to give you lobby days where you can come with us and meet your personal representative or your senator, go and talk to them. We are here to make it possible for you to let your voice know, to let the legislature know that you are actually in the majority now. We've got over 76% of people in Texas that want to either legalize completely, have comprehensive medical, or at least decriminalize. So we are the majority position. We can't forget it. We've got to let the legislature know that, and we appreciate y'all being out here tonight. Please come and talk to us afterwards. All right, please raise your hand if you're a TXNORML member. Oh, look at all that. We love the members too, of course. If you're not a member, please consider joining. You get a fabulous t-shirt as well. And we have, it's not super cold tonight, but we've got some good hoodies. You're going to need them in a couple months. So just go check out our merchandise at the table, folks. We appreciate that. That helps us in our efforts. And board members, can I see board members' hands, please? All right, please, anybody, first-time member or otherwise, if you have any questions, you want to involve yourself more, find some of these folks that are raising their hands. Come talk to us afterwards. We're a chatty, friendly bunch, as you might imagine. I mean, let's remember what it is we advocate. Trust me, we're a friendly group of people. Please come talk to us. We're always happy to talk about the TXNORML mission, which is to you know, I've just got to change this. I mean, it says move public opinion sufficiently to legalize the responsible use of marijuana by adults, but I just told y'all we're already past that. We're already in the majority there, so we're at the second part of the mission, which is to serve as an advocate for consumers to assure that they have access to high-quality marijuana that is safe, convenient, and affordable. That's what we're here for, folks. And again, thank you all for coming out tonight. We're going to have a really good session tonight. I'm just super thrilled. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce Major David Bass, who's here to give us an update on Operation Traffic. Everybody put your hands together for
So last night it was getting close to bedtime, and so I took my airtight jar and I pulled out a big fat bud of indica cannabis, and I ground it up, and then I poured it out into a little wooden bowl, and I put this plant material in my PAX vaporizer, and while I watched an episode from the 4th season of Vikings, I smoked my cannabis and enjoyed the episode very much. And then when the episode was over, I listened to a little bit of Lauryn Hill. And then I got in my bed and I slept peacefully, and I didn't have any nightmares, and I slept 8 straight hours. And I woke up this morning without any pain, very well rested, and I've been working all day today and standing up here in front of you. In 2006, when I retired from the Army, I wouldn't have smoked that cannabis. What I would have done is taken about my 3rd or 4th hydrocodone pill of the day. I would have taken a very powerful muscle relaxer. I would have drank about my, 3rd or 4th glass of Jack Daniels. And then I would have hopefully just passed out in my bed. But if I didn't, I would have had nightmares from PTSD. And when I woke up the next morning, it would be really hard for me to go to work because I would be suffering chronic pain from the injuries I received when I was in the Army. So please tell me, which is the better choice? the cannabis in my Pax vaporizer, or the hydrocodone and muscle relaxers and Jack Daniels that I used to take. I choose to use cannabis. I'm never going to stop using cannabis. In the state of Texas, I'm a criminal, but I don't feel like a criminal. I shouldn't be treated like a criminal because cannabis is medicine. Cannabis saved my life. Cannabis changed my life. How many of you, cannabis changed your life? Cannabis saved your life? How many veterans do we have here tonight? Let's give a big hand to our veterans. For Operation Trap, we're collecting pill bottles from veterans all over the state of Texas. The veteran puts a piece of paper inside with his or her name, branch of service, dates of service, combat operations if that's applicable, and service-connected disabilities. We're going to display these bottles at the Capitol during the 2017 session to show our legislators that Texas veterans support medical marijuana. Thank you so much for your support. If you're a veteran tonight and haven't given us a pill bottle, come see me down here at this table. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you, David. And now our executive director will start the candidate, or I think she has some remarks beforehand perhaps, and then we'll start the candidates forum. Please a warm welcome for Jack Finkel.
Thanks for coming out tonight, you guys. How are y'all doing? I love all the people here. It's awesome. And up on the patio, hi everybody. How y'all doing? All right, so our candidates are coming up on the stage, and while they're coming up, I wanted to give you some information. So in 2012, TXNORML started doing a cannabis-centric voters guide. We realized that the League of Women's Voter Guide and other guides didn't ask about the cannabis issues, and we thought that it's something that our fellow constituents and Texans should be able to take into account with voting. So we started doing the voters guide, and this will be the year that we expanded it from just doing the general election to also doing the primary election. So we released on October 1st the 2016 Marijuana Policy Voters Guide, and we're very excited to say that we have an interactive website where you can put in your address and it will automatically pop up your candidates. If they responded, what their responses were. If they didn't respond, we'll give you their email address so you can email them and ask them for yourself. And also we have their voting history available for you. So there were 12 bills last session, but there were 4 bills that were voted on, votes were taken on. So we have accumulated all of the voting records there so that you can reference that and see if they voted how you want. So for the voters guide this year, the 6 questions that we asked them are: do you support or oppose changing state law to allow residents with debilitating medical conditions to access whole plant medical marijuana with a physician's certification? Number 2, under current Texas law, individuals found in possession of less than 1 ounce of marijuana can be given a criminal, my phone was not scrolling, a criminal record, and they face up to 6 months in jail or a $2,000 fine. Do you support or oppose changing state law to make possession of less than 1 ounce of marijuana a civil offense, punishable by a small fine and no time in jail? Question number 3. Do you support or oppose changing state law to allow adults 21 and older to possess limited amounts of marijuana and establish a system in which marijuana is regulated and taxed similar to alcohol? Number 4. Industrial hemp is genetically similar to marijuana, but contains less than 0.3% of the psychoactive chemical in marijuana, THC. Although it is illegal, that's done. Although it is illegal to grow in the U.S., it is cultivated around the world for seed and fiber, which is used in many legal products such as paper and textiles. Do you support or oppose changing state law to allow the cultivation of industrial hemp? Number 5, do you agree or disagree that states should be able to carry out their own marijuana policies without intervention from federal government? So those are the questions that we asked the candidates and they responded. So you can go online and find out how they responded to those questions. So tonight, you get 4 totally brand new questions. And they don't know what the questions are. So it's gonna be a surprise. And I'm sorry, I have a little bit allergy, my bad. So we have 4 candidates here tonight. They have all agreed to come and talk to you guys about cannabis policy. We'll give them 2 minutes each to introduce themselves, and then for each question, they'll each get 1 minute to respond to it. I'm going to go ahead and introduce them in alphabetical order. First we have Ben Easton, and he's running for Texas House District 48.
All right.
And next to him we have Gabriel Mila for Texas House of Representatives District 46. And here we have Kat Groom from the Texas House, District 51. And next to her is Kevin Ludlow, also running for Texas House 46. So Gabriel and Kevin are actually technically opponents, you guys. FYI. No, we don't fight. We're peaceful warriors, right? All right, well, let's start with Ben. This mic right here is live. Let me get it. All right, Ben, we're going to start with you. How has the illegality of cannabis affected your life?
The illegality.
Oh, wait, you're supposed to introduce yourself first. Damn, I gave the question away. Go ahead and answer.
Do I do the 2-minute thing first?
Yeah, go ahead if you want. It's not bad, y'all, but that's a good question, right?
So my name is Ben Easton, and this will be the 6th or 7th or 8th time I've run for office as a libertarian. I wouldn't dare run on any other ticket. I've been a libertarian since I was 6 or 7 or 8 years old. I've always found politics as usual by the machine parties absurd and ridiculous. I believe in the single core axiom on which the entire libertarian platform is based, and that is self-ownership. I own my body, my mind, and my soul. It's not yours. It's not yours. It's not theirs. And of course, yours is yours and it's not mine. So if you respect mine and I respect yours, then basically we can live and let live and have a nice society. I mean, it's really that simple. It truly is that simple, people. And I realized that when I was about 8. So meanwhile, I'm running for state rep, District 48, against Donna Howard, the Demoblican. There may be a Republican, but the Demoblican is Donna Howard. She's the incumbent, been there 4 or 5 terms. There's not too much, the difference between the 2 machine parties. So I love it that you all are out and open to our ideas. Smaller government, more freedom. Thank you. So.
All right. So, since I kind of messed up the start, let's pass it to, Gabriel. And Gabriel, if you would, take your 2 minutes. So please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you for having this event so that we can go ahead and talk about the issues that are important to us. My name is Gabriel Nila. I am actually the Republican candidate that is running for House District 46. For those people that may not know what district that is, you probably saw in the news just recently that the incumbent, which is Donna Dukes, has decided to retire from her position. Starting January 10th, and obviously myself and Kevin Ludlow are running against her. People have asked me about what we're trying to do on my campaign, and I basically summed up my campaign in 3 words, and it's strengthen the family. We have an opportunity to go ahead and make some changes in the laws in the state of Texas, where, as a teacher myself, I hear kids come to our class, and they're a little disheveled, and they're a little upset because one of the parents got arrested and is in jail because they were in possession of something, or they did something wrong, or they had to get kicked out of their house because they owed money in the taxes. And what our goal for Strengthen the Family is to do several things. What we want to do is that we want to work on changing the laws so that, for example, people who are in possession of marijuana, instead of going to jail, the officer tells them, well, you dummy, you should have had it on you. Here's a ticket, go home. And then they go home and they talk to the spouse and they say, well, I got a ticket, honey, and the spouse says, well, you dummy, you shouldn't have had that in your pocket. Or wherever you had it on you. Let's go ahead and take care of this bill, that way we can go and take care of life. And they don't go to jail. They don't have to have their children wondering where their dad's at or where their mom's at. And then lets the person who got caught go back to work, continue what they're doing without having to deal with any type of embarrassment that goes through the legal system. We're also looking at trying to do a couple of things that are helping to strengthen the family by fighting the gentrification issue that is affecting East Austin dearly. We found the law and the statutes that has affected it, and we looked at repealing that law. We are looking at trying to strengthen the education system, not only for public schools, but also give parents a greater right to decide where they want to send their child to school. And most importantly, we want to expand on the medicinal marijuana use. We've seen families leave Texas to go to Colorado or to go out so that they can't get the services that they need. We want to expand it so that they can stay here, so that they can build their families here in Texas and pass the heritage down here while in Texas. If you have any other questions, I'll be happy to stay over and talk. GabrielNila.com. If you're on Facebook, follow us at Gabriel Nila for Texas House of Representatives, District 46.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Ludlow, please give us 2 minutes of information about you.
I would love to. Well, hi everybody, my name is Kevin Ludlow, as Jax had said. This is my second time to run for office. I am running against Gabriel right now in District 46, Texas House of Representatives. I'm running as the Libertarian candidate. As I said, this is my second time to run. I think this is the 5th or 6th time that I've gotten to speak at TXNORML, so I'm a very big supporter of the organization. I know Jax fairly well, and I give you guys so much praise outside of these walls for what you guys do. I think both Ben and Gabriel, frankly, summed up a lot of my positions fairly well, or at least my ideals in terms of why I'm running for office. I've given that position several times to this crowd specifically. But I think the thing is right now is that we're living in a country, as all of you know, that really is run by a singular party with 2 different faces to it. If you've watched any of the debates, as I have, at the federal level, obviously you're getting a taste of that. It's embarrassing, it's upsetting. With respect to marijuana law and the drug law in particular, I very strongly believe that, kind of as a bullet statement, people should not ever be in cages for non-violent offenses. It's just as simple as that. With respect to marijuana reform, as somebody who wants to be inside of the system, I would absolutely champion any type of legislation possible to push us in that general direction. I realize that the state of Texas isn't exactly the same pace with this that I am, but we're starting to see that change, and if there's anything that I can do from the political side to accelerate that, that's certainly one of the principal reasons that I would be running for the Texas House. So anyways, I'm looking forward to the questions that we get. I really appreciate all of you guys coming here. The activism that you guys do is just absolutely amazing, and there's no doubt that we've been seeing a huge change in the laws and the spirit of the laws in the last couple of years, especially with states like Colorado, Washington, etc., and a number of medical marijuana states changing as well. So thank you for all of that, and I look forward to Texas slowly changing towards a little bit saner policies with respect to drug laws in general. Again, Kevin Ludlow, District 46. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Kat, would you please tell us a little bit about you? Oh, no, of course, please do.
Sorry, it's hard for me to sit down this late at night. My name is Kat Swift, and your question is actually what I was going to say. I have to use medical marijuana in order to get through a date, just as Ronan who said up there earlier. And I have disabilities from a car accident, and I was basically sidelined and lost everything: my house, my job, my school, my life. And so I was 5.5 years out, and I just started working a part-time job that turned into a full-time job, and it's killing me. But if it wasn't for marijuana, I would not be here right now. So I've been involved in politics for 16 years in Texas. I was involved in Canada before that, helping out people up there to learn about their legislation. And I came back here and realized that after investigating every party's core values, that mine really aligned with the Green Party. And Libertarians and Greens share a lot of commonality in there. There's just a few things that haven't worked out economically. Because, yeah, if I got a ticket, I wouldn't be able to pay it, and then I would end up in jail. So, and I have disabilities, and I wouldn't last like a night without being put in a hospital. So that's who I am, and I pretty much know everything there is to know about how to get on the ballot in Texas and what an electoral process is. I've been working legislative sessions like every other year since 2001, and my opponent is the reason why we have gentrification happening in this state. He supported the bill, thanks to my friend over here who told me about it, and that is a big problem for people like me who live on a fixed income and can barely afford to live anywhere anymore. So thank you so much, and I look forward to it.
Thank you. So now you guys have had a second to percolate on the first question that I'm going to ask you. So I'm actually going to start with Gabriel with this one. How has the illegality of cannabis affected your life?
From a personal standpoint, it hasn't affected anything for me, to be honest with you. I am probably one of the few people that actually support the decriminalization and up to legalization that has not touched marijuana at all. True. But I know people that have. I know some of them, I went into a little bit of detail on this, but I will try to make it very quick. I've seen how the use of marijuana and cannabis has helped individuals that I work with closely that are under the age of 18. Their parents allow them to use marijuana. And I've seen how they change. I had a friend of mine who actually, when he was watching my daughter, he had to use medicinal marijuana because if he didn't, and he was taking Flexol. Flexol, sorry. He didn't take Flexol. He could not function whatsoever. But in the morning, he would smoke a little bit, and he was good from about 8 o'clock to about 9 in the evening with no problems whatsoever. So I've seen how it can positively affect other people, and that's why I'm supporting what we can do to change the laws.
Awesome, thank you. Kevin, how has it affected you?
Oh man, where to start with that one? Well, last time I spoke here, some of you may remember I talked about a time when police officers broke into my house on the suspicion that they smelled marijuana. So that was a particular situation that I had to deal with. You can only imagine what it's like to deal with that if you're one of those people who hasn't actually ever had to deal with law enforcement over something like that. It's completely indefensible. There's nothing that you can do when somebody says that they smell something, and they can use that against you to seek some sort of prosecution against you. As it turns out, nothing happened in that particular case. But it happens all the time, and you guys know this. Anytime you've applied for a job, you're probably subjected to random drug tests, things of this nature. I'm a software developer, so I argue rather vehemently against this every time I do apply for a job because I won't take drug tests for marijuana of all things. You know, it affects me from a personal standpoint. I know a lot of people who are affected, people like that, who rely upon medical marijuana, people who are veterans of the military, as we were hearing earlier. These are really serious issues to me. Again, I commend states like Colorado and Washington and a number of other states that have supported medical marijuana for allowing people to get access to something that's completely harmless, as every single person in this crowd knows. So again, the fact that we use this as leverage against people, we put people in harm's way, we incarcerate them, subject them to further tribulations and financial risks, it's a devastating effect on our society as a whole. So that affects me greatly, and that's one of the things I'm really looking to change.
Would you like to expound a little bit?
Yeah, I have plenty to say. It's actually impacted my life in many, many ways. The reason why I'm wearing a mask, by the way, is that I've been around a lot of sick people and haven't been feeling great, so I don't want to get anybody else sick. So pardon the anonymity. I just finished 2 years of helping an autistic friend go through the court system because he had less than half a gram of hash that was given to him, and he uses marijuana to manage his bipolar disorder, his autism, his attention deficit, and anxiety. And so it's been a crazy 2 years going back and forth to San Antonio just to go to court, to show up, to say, yes, I'm here, so that the prosecutor can talk to your lawyer. That's all that happens while you're there. And it's this trauma and turmoil. But I've also like given it to my great aunt at a family reunion, and she like came back from a fibromyalgia, altitude induced. She looked like she was going into a coma actually, and within 15 minutes she was laughing and playing with the grandchildren again. And half of my family came over and asked me what I gave her, and this was illegal at the time in Colorado, but I told them and risked a lot because any one of them could have been pissed and sent me to jail. Because you never know how your crazy family's going to react. So, anyway. Ben.
So the illegality would affect. So I'm pretty unusual in the sense that I will tell you I'm an alcoholic and an addict. I got sober in 1984. My drug of choice was marijuana. I still consider marijuana, burning marijuana, cannabis, the best smell in the universe. I love it. I fucking love it. And I haven't smoked it since 1984 because it can kill me. Now, but I mention that only perhaps to highlight the fact that I'm here to speak on the re-legalization of all drugs, including cannabis, on principle. Because there's all of you who still enjoy it, can enjoy it, ought to be able to enjoy it without the threat. So the one effect that it's had on me is that I'm part of the collateral damage of a society that has these insane laws. Okay, on marijuana, cannabis, and other laws too. I mean, other drugs, but I'll confine it to just marijuana, reefer. I loved it. I choose not to smoke it. I live a sober life, but I'm here to speak on behalf of all of you who absolutely have the right under the sun, and it needs to be a legal right, to smoke the heck out of it. And by the way, in 1984, there wasn't enough marijuana on the premises for me. I smoked the shit out of it.
All right, question number 2. We'll start with Kevin on this one. How do you feel about the right to grow your own cannabis?
Well, I feel good to great about that. I've never personally grown marijuana. It looks like it's pretty fun to do from the YouTube videos I've watched. So it seems like it's a pretty hardy crop that most people can do with relative ease. And you know, it's funny. I remember when the Colorado law got passed just a couple of years ago. I was running a political podcast at the time, and I remember saying to our audience one day, "Oh, what a great thing you can finally have!" I forget how many plants it is, 3 plants or something like that. And my co-host, he immediately stopped me and he said, "But think about that for a second." He's like, "Imagine the fact that there's a law that regulates how many plants you can put into the ground, or you've committed some sort of a crime." So the idea that we're making progress is a great thing, but the fact that we are running with just this insanity that you cannot put a plant into the ground, grow it, and then use it just like we would any other type of plant is absolute insanity to me. So I absolutely support the right to grow, cultivate, distribute marijuana as freely as anyone can.
Thank you. All right, how do you feel about grow your own?
If I had the ability to do it, I totally would. But mostly for that grounding effect of growing something, right, that you need, and so there's that symbiotic relationship. But, it just, that bill was great last year about, from Simpson, that would just say, be treated like a tomato, if you can grow a tomato, then you can grow pot, and that's been the whole, agriculture. Everybody knows you go to a hydroponic shop to get stuff to grow marijuana and tomatoes. But, so why they're different doesn't make any sense.
Thank you. Ben?
So, of course, we ought to be able to grow marijuana. I mean, that's a slam dunk.
Like, you literally needed 10 seconds to tell it. Like,
Yeah,
it's just
I mean,
a slam dunk.
it's just insanity. I'm appalled. I'm insulted. I'm saddened that we're even here to deal with this, and of course, yet we are. So progress is being made. Thanks again to all the normal, warriors and warrioresses.
In a nutshell, I don't have a problem with it. In fact, I'll share a story with you that's kind of cute about this whole thing. So I've worked with other people in growing plants, from a little pot to bigger pots, and they can go in and grow these nice pretty flowers. vegetables and whatnot. One of the individuals that I showed him how to grow decided to go ahead and take one of his little pots of that he used to start plants, and ended up telling me that he decided to go ahead and as they say, it started with a seed, and he grew a nice little plant in his home. So he's learning, and he's using it as a way to meditate, to go ahead and take care of it and watch it grow.
Awesome, thank you. All right, question number 3. We will start with you, Kat, if you're ready. Should a medical cannabis patient be able to own and carry a gun?
I don't know why we wouldn't be able to. I don't see why that should be a reason to do anything with guns, actually.
And I'm asking specifically because there was some recent issues in other states where they were removing medical patients' rights to carry or own.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry, I've been like deep in the campaign world, so I don't know what's going on in the rest of the world. It just seems like just another reason to fuck with us. I'm sorry. It's too late. I don't know.
Sorry. Too true.
So to whether you should be able to have a handgun license if you're a medical marijuana a user. Yeah, patient. So I have a concealed handgun license, and it's a very specific license to be used in a specific context. I feel obliged deeply to use that. If I even bother to carry, I will do it with extreme care and safety. I am sober, I've already said that. But if I were drinking or smoking or snorting or dropping acid like I used to love to do, or doing any of a number of other recreational drugs, which I believe all should be re-legalized to people of majority, in other words, not children, and to people of sound mind, law-abiding citizens should be able to do all that stuff. So if a medical marijuana patient, should they be able to get a concealed handgun license and carry? Absolutely. While they're on the effect of marijuana, though, that is a good question. I don't know. I don't know.
Answer. Yeah. I don't know is an answer. FYI.
So we're looking at people that at states where medicinal marijuana is allowed, right? And it's legal. And they shouldn't be having their rights taken away, or the Second Amendment rights taken away because of this. They shouldn't have to be removed.
All right. Good. Kevin?
Well, that was short and sweet. I would have to say that I mostly agree with Gabe here. I mean, the reality is that I mean, to a certain extent, I suppose that I would say that states all have different laws with respect to these things, and I would certainly honor legislative bodies of states considering that for themselves. That's kind of the great experiment of the country. But as a general take, I would say absolutely not. As I think as Gabriel articulated, the fact is that you've made something legal. Why would all of a sudden there be restrictions on other things in your life because of that particular substance being legal? Same sort of thing with alcohol. So far as I know, you're allowed to drink a beer and still carry your firearm if you're licensed to have one. So I wouldn't see it as any different than that, personally.
Thank you, Ben. All right, question number 4, start with you, Ben. In this legislative session, if elected to office, what do you plan to do to help legalize marijuana?
If I were elected in this next election, I would absolutely help sponsor or co-sponsor with all the normal experts legislation to re-legalize as much of the cannabis world as possible. I would jump straight beyond. I would jump beyond medical marijuana. I mean, unless you experts convinced me that let's do a stepping stone approach, because to me that's a little bit of an insult. I think we should just go for the big kahuna and just make it real clear they should be legalized, period. So one way or the other, I would sponsor or co-sponsor such a bill, and I would do it vocally, with the passion that I hope you see in me tonight.
Thank you, Ben. Gabriel?
Can you repeat the question real quick?
I will repeat the question. Question number 4. In this legislative session, if elected, what do you plan to do to help legalize marijuana?
Okay, so in the perfect world right now, I will say I will help co-sponsor, I will sign, I will walk wherever I need to go ahead and get this passed. But I'm going to add one thing to this whole situation. District 46 has a unique situation right now where we currently have the incumbent, who is Donna Dukes, that has already stated that she's going to quote-unquote retire. However, she's still on the ballot, which means that people can still vote for her. And we have an opportunity right now to make a change where we can tell people we're not going to have an incumbent who has refused to assist with medicinal when it comes to changing the laws when it comes to possession of marijuana or any medicinal marijuana laws available. She has refused. And you have an opportunity right now to let your friends know in House District 46, which is East Austin, Maynard, and the southeast portion of Pflugerville, that you have candidates that are willing to go ahead and work for that cause. So, if I'm elected, yes, I will do what we can to go ahead and get this done.
Thank you, Gabriel. All right, Kevin, what would you do?
Well, I mean, it's pretty easy. I definitely, as I've stated on my questions to TXNORML and on my website and everything else, I would absolutely champion legislation that would try to push us towards a saner direction with respect to medical marijuana, with respect to legalization of marijuana in general, and then to take a page from Ben here with respect to drugs in general. Again, the bullet statement that I said was I don't think that anybody should be in a cage for non-violent offenses. So that's just kind of an overarching thing. But I will say another thing that I would be very interested in pursuing. About 15 years ago, I lived in New Zealand for a while, and they have a different form of democracy than we do, namely in the sense that the minorities get seats within the legislative body. It's not a winner-take-all type system like that. And one of the things that I really liked was the people who were members of the equivalent Green Party and equivalent Libertarian Party and what have you. They tended to be activists inside of the legislative system. So one of the things that I really liked was you would frequently see these people at rallies, and these were people who were members of parliament, in our case, legislators. They would show up to the exact same activist events as anybody else, and they would frequently get arrested. They would frequently partake in stepping exactly against the laws that they were currently in a position to change. This brought enormous attention to the issues when all of a sudden you've got people who are inside of your congressional body who are participating in the same activist process that anybody else would have to. They're being subjected to the exact same scrutinies as anybody in this audience would, or as I would be as a non-member. So that's something that I would really enjoy doing if I had the opportunity to sit inside of the congressional body. So that's what I would do.
Kat, what would you do?
I would support and sponsor and work for any bills that made sane choices in moving towards ending prohibition. So steps along that path, I would help with. But if it had some crazy thing that would make it hard, like this last one that passed, that like you have to have intractable epilepsy in order to have a prescription, and then you can't even get it in the state. I would not help with any of those kinds of bills. And what Gabriel's talking about is don't vote straight ticket, ever, because you will end up electing people like their opponent who is going to retire and cost us $200,000. So, thanks.
Thank you, Kat. All right, everybody give our candidates a round of applause. I like people who like candidates, so really appreciate y'all coming out. Now listen, you've heard what they had to say here, and you can see what they answered the 6 questions, how they answered those on the voter's guide. There's a slip up at our table that has the information about the voter's guide, so go grab that. But how do you actually use that information? Well, first of all, you have to register to vote. Raise your hand if you are registered to vote currently. Go y'all, go y'all. If your hand is not up, please go over to the table because we have voter registration cards for everybody that is in Williamson, Travis County, and we also have some general ones for all across the state. So go up to there and make sure that you're registered to vote. So then, what's the date you have to do that by? Well, you have to do it by the 11th. So that's pretty quick, that's coming up. If you're not registered, you only have a few more days. Then make sure that you share the voter's guide that we have with all of your friends and family so that they know how everyone stands on it. And then you have to actually get out and vote, you guys. If you don't get out and vote, then, you don't get to speak for what you want because this is how we have to change the laws here. So go out and vote, and the dates to vote, early voting, so you don't have to wait in line, do it at your convenience, October 24th through November 4th, okay? And then actual election day is November 8th. And FYI, Texas Normal is going to be throwing a fabulous election night party at the Belmont, so, you know, you should come over, check it out. So everybody, thank you very much for coming. We really appreciate y'all running and coming and representing your parties and your district and standing up for what you believe in and what you want to do. So thank you so much for your time. And on that note, we will exit stage left, and Jamie Spencer will be coming back up. He's going to let you know a little bit about the events that we have coming up in the rest of October. October is actually a really busy month. We're doing regional advocacy trainings, and we have been traveling all over the state. We're doing 9 different cities, and this weekend we're going to be in Houston and San Antonio. Yeah, we have some friends from San Antonio. Hey! There's like 15 of y'all here tonight. I love it. But Jamie's going to tell you about the other events that are going on this month. So there's plenty to do if you want to be active. Jamie Spencer, Legal Counsel.
Thank you, folks. Let's give another round of applause for our folks that came up here and answered our questions, showed their support for our cause. Of course, each individual, one of those candidates is important in their own right. And then again, symbolically, just the fact that we have folks coming to speak with us, that shows that actually for every one of them here, so 4-ish years ago, 2013, for Harold Dutton's 0 to 1 ounces of marijuana equals a Class C speeding ticket type offense. I believe we ended up with 3 co-sponsors. Does anybody know?
Hey,
Wasn't that the total amount? There
if
are
we had to grade
150
my performance
legislators
tonight, it was a
and House
68,
representatives.
which has been
So
my
how
constant
can
grade
that
across everything I've been
75?
graded this
That
past
means we
week.
need 76 folks to support our bill in the House.
Been a little busy.
So that was 2 legislative sessions ago.
That's life, right?
1 legislative session ago for an even better bill, which was 0 to 1 ounces equals parking ticket, which is non-criminal civil fine only. We had either, was it 43 or 44? Does anybody want to tell me? Let's just say it was 43 so I don't overstate. We had 43 representatives in the Texas House that signed up to co-sponsor that or to support it. That means we were more than halfway to halfway last time. And of course, we've had 2 years worth of news. We've had 2 years worth of, by the news I mean that Texas doesn't want to be the last state, right?
Yeah, they do.
I used to say Texas was going to be the last state. We're not going to be the last state. We're not even going to get close to the last state. We're going to get this done.
Yeah!
And I really appreciate all these folks coming out tonight to talk to us about all of that. Okay, so I'm supposed to wrap this up by talking about upcoming events. We've got the October traveling strategy meeting. And that will be Tuesday, October 11th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. And if there's anything better than getting together and talking and strategizing and meeting some other folks that are coming in to support us and just generally talking strategy about legalizing marijuana, if there's anything better than that, it's having that traveling strategy meeting at the Catfish Bar. And that is indeed where it is. The Catfish Bar down on Ned White. Very tasty, I can tell you myself. So y'all should all come out for that.
That's okay.
Then later that week, that Saturday, is the Veterans Conference. That will be Saturday, October 15th.
Someone's got to
That's going to be at the Texas State Capitol Building. That's from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
I wonder if
Our keynote speaker is going to be Rob Cambia from the Marijuana Policy Project. And we've got several other speakers as well. Please come to our Veterans Conference. If you know veterans, please encourage them to find out about that so that they can come. If they're not able to come, please let them know that they can track down our Veterans Liaison, Major David Bass, who was up here earlier. Maybe they can help out with Operation Trap, and maybe he can help them in various ways as well. Also, as a side note, I just want to say, because I don't want Dave to be too much cooler than me, I smoked marijuana last night too. Okay. And then the members mixer. I I cannot tell you where the members mixer is going to be. And you have to figure out on your own why I can't tell you. But trust me,
Oh.
we've got this fantastic system where you buy a ticket and you get to find out where it's going to be. It is going to be awesome. If you think going upstairs later tonight and listening to the Mau Mau Chaplains and their awesome reggae is fun, you should come to the members mixer because there's nothing like it. I hear some folks who are acting as if they've been there before and they're going to be there again. That's October 29th. That's the Saturday before Halloween. That's going to be it's going to start a little earlier this year. It's from 4 o'clock to 10:30 p.m. Truly, truly an awesome experience. Please find out about that. And of course, that helps us support TXNORML as well. Again, we appreciate everyone coming out. Thank you so much for a great meeting for October. Our next one will be November, whatever the first Wednesday is. But is everything election?
I have a wedding.
Probably on Tuesday.
So do you.
No, it's right
Oh, yes,
before.
of course.
Yeah.
November 19th. Okay.
November 19th.
Goodness gracious, I'm supposed to know these things. Anyway, it's the first Wednesday of every month.
And the
Let's
baby
also
shower.
give
My sister.
a warm round of applause to Angela and Flamingo Cantina for hosting us here for, I believe it's
Well, I have
40 years
I'm
right now.
not good. My sister's not good to be
And
around
there
when
are-
she's stressed and she takes out on the
And there
people she
are
loves.
event
Oh, she's pregnant?
slips on the
Yeah.
table, so if you happen to be
Okay.
writing down everything I've been saying, you can take it with you.
I'm gonna buy
And thank
$100
you,
worth of diapers.
Susie, for doing the sign language translation for everyone else here. Thanks so
Yeah.
much. She's been here many times as well. We really appreciate it when she comes out. And we're going to have a little bit of mingling. And pretty soon we're going to have some awesome
I would like to buy her
reggae. Don't forget to tip your bartenders. Thank you so much for coming tonight, folks. TXNORML appreciates it. Thank you very much.
So you can just be like, yes, I'm single. All right.
Aha, it's too history nerd. And it had like German words in it.